The most powerful affirmation that you can do is the label that you put on yourself. I think we've misunderstood the concept of affirmations. Our personalities and ourselves is not something we necessarily discover with time. Psychology suggests that our personality is something that we repeatedly perform, and the identity you choose to wear influences the behaviors that you repeatedly practice. For instance, every time that you tell yourself that you are an anxious person, or you tell yourself you're bad with money, that you're not creative enough, that you're bad at relationships, or that you're lazy, you're not describing yourself. You're consistently labeling yourself as those things. And labels are powerful because they shape your identity. One of the biggest misconceptions in psychology is that first we discover who we are or find who we are, and then we behave accordingly. But in reality, identity is much more fluid than that. It's intentionally built from the stories that we repeatedly tell ourselves. I want you to think for a second about all the labels that you carry within you that you never intentionally chose for yourself. Did a teacher ever tell you that you weren't academic? Maybe one of your parents said that you were too emotional growing up. A friend might have told you that you're too shy or too awkward. These are all examples of labels that others created for us, and we chose to inherit them as our own. Even if you want to deny that the labels other people put on you don't get through to you, when your brain accepts a label, it starts to protect that label as its own. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Your mind is designed to look for evidence to support what it naturally believes. Let's take an example. If you believe that you are bad at public speaking, every time you take an awkward pause becomes confirmation for that belief. If you believe that you are an unlucky person, every time there's a setback in your life, you feel that that is confirmation of you being unlucky. The evidence isn't always objective. It's seen through biased lenses by us. It's all filtered through the identity we've created over time. We think we're seeing reality, but sometimes we're just seeing the labels that are being reflected back to us. I have a personal example of when I tried to break a personal label that I had put on myself. I grew up believing that I'm unlucky, and for some reason growing up, I had a lot of evidence around me to prove that I am unlucky. But last year, I read about the concept of labels, and I tried out a little experiment. I started wearing a 777 necklace that was a reminder to myself that I am lucky. And somehow my brain did all the magic and I started to feel luckier every single day. There's a good probability that my life was still going objectively the same way that it had my whole life. But because I had changed the label that I put on myself, my brain had started to look for proof that that belief is true. But it's just that I started to notice the things that actually made me feel like a luckier person. And ironically, luck is seen as something that is objective. You either have it or you don't. But this experience made me realize that the power of my brain is way more important than any luck I naturally have. There's another psychological concept called self-fulfilling prophecy. Our expectations influence our behavior in a way that is more likely for our expectation to come true. Someone who believes that they're incapable may stop applying for opportunities. Someone who has a belief that they're unlikable may put up a guard around new people naturally. Eventually, their outcome starts to reinforce the original belief. The labels create the behavior strengthens the label, and that cycle keeps repeating. And this applies to both negative and positive labels. This is why affirmations are not about pretending. It is about interrupting the cycle of whatever limiting beliefs are holding you back. You're not replacing reality with fantasy. You're simply turning limited identities into evolving identities. Let's look at a practical psychology-based example for this. If you use affirmations and labels such as, I am wealthy, I attract opportunities, I am always networking with the right people, I am a millionaire, or I'm making decisions that future me is thanking me for, not only would the universe do its duty and help you receive those things if you believe them blindly. But as a result of telling yourself these things constantly, your brain would start to take bigger risks in general, notice opportunities that you would have ignored otherwise. It would start to negotiate with more confidence and start to invest more in itself. And if you do really start to show up differently in the world, are affirmations really delusional, or are they simply the blueprint for a whole new reality? Identity is not changed by denial, it is changed by repetition, evidence, and action. Psychology supports this in many other ways. Research on the growth mindset shows that people who believe that their abilities can develop are more likely to persist through challenges. And research on neuroplasticity shows that the brain is constantly adapting based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. The pathways that you use the most in your brain become the pathways that your brain is able to access more easily. In simple terms, the thoughts that you choose to practice become the thoughts that come to you more naturally. Even philosophy believes in this idea. The Stoics believe that events themselves do not determine our experience. It is our interpretation of those events that determine the experience. Existential philosophers also supported that we aren't born with fixed identities. We become the people through the choices we decide to make in our lives. In both these cases, identity isn't something that you're born with. It is something that you participate equally in creating. So how do you exactly change what you have been labeling yourself for years? You don't fight it, you simply strategically outgrow it. You need to start doing affirmations every single day, whether it's writing it down in your journal or making affirmation cards that you read every single day. One thing I like doing is creating a voice recording of all the affirmations that I want to remind myself of, and I listen to it every day as consistently as I can. Your identity will start to shift as you start to collect evidence and the story naturally changes. But then you can also go the extreme route and be so stubborn with the universe that you decide to shift your identity within moments or minutes. Pick up the right practices and change your labels, and your brain will auto-update. I promise you. The goal of affirmations was never to create blind positivity for yourself. It was always conscious authorship. The question isn't whether affirmations work. The question is, who wrote the affirmations that you are currently telling yourself that are also affecting your identity? If it wasn't you, it's time to write a new story for yourself. Be careful what you call yourself because your brain is listening. And if you would like to know more about shifting your identity, check out this video on my YouTube channel. For more self-growth, psychology, philosophy, self-development, etc., follow my YouTube channel. I also make content on my Instagram, so if these topics call out to you, then give me a follow there as well. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment down below if you have any suggestions for the next video, and I will see you guys very soon.